Hey guys, Martin here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so I made this post yesterday after the Dokkan Now reveal stream. We watched the stream live, shout out to everyone who was there. Then I made a breakdown video, posted that, and then I made this tweet a little bit afterwards so that I could make this video here now today, the day after, to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on the Broly and the Gohan, because this video, by the time this goes up, it will be a bit over 24 hours since the reveal, so people have had time, I'm sure, by now to see what the units do, check out their animations, and have some thoughts. Now, obviously, I should precursor this by saying, as I say in the tweet, of course, that we have not seen them in the game, so we can only go by so much from their passive, right? Like, I've seen people starting to do calcs already and stuff like that, but obviously I am one of these people who I do very much want to see what the units do in the game before I start making any sort of major opinions on them. But, you know, just by reading their kits, we do get a somewhat good idea of what it is that these guys are doing. So basically, what do you guys think of the new units? Do you think Broly or Gohan is the best of the two, and why? Are either of them the new #1 unit in the game? And what do you guys think? So if you did miss the tweet or your reply doesn't get in, I'm making this a little bit earlier in the morning, so there is the possibility that some people will come to this tweet after the video, or after the recording at least. So if your response doesn't make it into the video, do let me know what you guys think in the comments section of the video. And of course, if your comment does make it in and you have any feedback on anything I've said about it or anything like that, do let me know that down below in the comment section as well. So we're going to start scrolling and we'll just see how we go. So first off, we have our boy Proton. Shout out to the GOAT. Everything you need for data downloads, make sure you're following this guy. So I think neither are the new #1, but they're exactly what their categories needed. Broly in particular with an active / domain that can be triggered turn 1 is chef kiss, and it absolutely is, right? One of the best design things I think about Broly is the fact that you're going to be able to use his domain straight away on turn 1, which gives him a buff as long as he attacks while the domain is active, which is going to be pretty much impossible for him not to. He then gets a permanent buff for the rest of the battle. Then his domain wears off, and it wears off early enough that you can then use the AGL Broly transformation and domain, because of course AGL Broly, still a very top tier unit in the game, absolutely will be a unit that you run on this new Broly's team. So being able to use that domain nice and early after using the after being able to transform Broly after the new Broly's domain ends is going to be very, very useful. Then we have my boy Minato. Shout out to the Slot 1 Super Podcast, one of my co-hosts. Shout out to Dokkan Assets as well. I think Gohan is better than Broly. I also think neither are best units in the game. Gohan, to me, on the Super Saiyan Trio team with their 50% support, and when he's built up, is going to be doing insane damage. Then he has guard, 50% dodge with nearly 2 million defense. Yeah, I've seen some ridiculous calcs for Gohan already that does put him at, like, up to, if not over 2 million defense on certain turns. And then bearing in mind, of course, that, yeah, he has a chance to dodge. Like, he's got a lot of really good stuff going for him defensively and also offensively. And of course, you know, depending on how many charges you end up getting and picking up the Dragon Balls and all those other factors, but the Family Kamehameha is potentially going to be doing insane damage as well. So yeah, definitely both of these units seem very, very good. And yeah, both very strong offensively and defensively, which is what we love to see. So shout out to Minato for that. Then we have our boy Sora. I know he's a massive Broly fan. He put I just think, and then it's Broly super attack effects. So I mean, Broly has very, very good super attack effects, right? Massively raise attack and defense for 1 turn on the 12 key. Massively raises 100%. And then he has a 50% chance that he gets an extra 30% defense raise as well. And then his 18 key is also 100% raise for attack and defense, but he has a 50% chance of getting an extra 100% attack as well. So he can do some insane damage. And yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of numbers he's hitting in the game. So we have Artemis. Yeah, so I replied to this one. Gohan will win it out. Broly with a domain means domain clash. And then I sort of clarified the thing about his domain. I think they went on to say that they hadn't read it correctly or something. So just pointing that out, which is obviously very, very good. I like the way that those will interact together. It shows like good design, right? Because unless they just happened as a happy accident, it means they designed it that way on purpose so that you can use the new Broly's domain, have it end, and then use the AGL Broly's domain, and there's no like conflict between the two. So definitely very, very good design. Big fan of that. Shout out to Mega Nice, the resident channel menace. First of all, wish it was my GOAT Bio Broly. Could you imagine if it was actually a Bio Broly after all of that, but with this kit that the Int Broly has? Because he seems insanely good. So obviously with that kit, even though he would be a Bio Broly, he would still undeniably be like an insanely good unit, which would be a very weird situation to be in for Dokkan, having one of the best units in the game be a Bio Broly. But it is what it is. Now for the answer. I feel like with the teams in mind, Gohan seems a bit ahead, but as you say, got to see them in action. I mean, this is the thing. One of the big things about Gohan is he is going to be able to be run on the trio team. And I mean, I did a whole bunch of videos over this last week going over tons of different characters on the trio team to see how well they've been buffed by all of the support that they give. And obviously they are an incredible unit, even for some of these units that are a little bit older, to get like a new lease of life, right? So you think about these characters that are coming out like this Gohan that are actually really, really good, even of their own merit, and then you start throwing them on the trio team and they are going to be absolutely ridiculous. Like Gohan and the trio together are going to be super, super good. So definitely can't wait to see that. My boy AC, I personally think I like Broly for what he does for that movie boss's team more, but Gohan is not. I mean, Gohan is crazy. Going to be one of the most hyper offensive units in the game, with the trio holding down slot 1 for him. Exactly. Like the two of them together on the same team, like that setup is going to be absolutely crazy. So definitely looking forward to that. Int Broly is number 2 behind Beast. Gohan is going to be really shaky unless he's on the Super Saiyan Trios team. I mean, I don't know about that. Like, he seems, at his best, he seems like he is going to be really, really good. I don't think he needs the trio in order to be good. It's just another advantage of, like, being on their team is obviously going to make him look even better. But I guess we'll see, obviously, in-game. I think Gohan is better, but Broly is more needed at the moment due to movie bosses not having a modern revive unit. Gohan's damage is nuts, standby especially. Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, the revival, do we have, like, a revival unit extreme that's actually, like, relevant anymore? I mean, Omega Shenron, no. Metal Cooler, no. Like, this guy being on this team, really, really good. And this is one of the things I said in a tweet yesterday that a bunch of people didn't like for some reason, even though it's just true. The fact that, like, Tech Broly's EZA being a bit of a glass cannon isn't really a huge issue when you have, if you're running double Int Broly, like either of those Brolys will get their revive up, and then if Tech Broly gets caught by a super and gets killed, the Int Broly revives and then you're all good. So Broly having this revive, especially the type where he doesn't have to be the one that gets killed, means that he covers for the defensive weaknesses for some of the other units on the team, which I think is really good. So yeah, having a revival unit on this movie boss's team definitely is a nice touch. Then we have Slippin' Jim Jim, a good old Better Call Saul reference. Broly is king, almost exactly what I wanted. I mean, Broly is absolutely ridiculous. Naga, don't know about best, but I'm way more hyped for Broly than Gohan. I'm just going to skip Gohan and go all in for Broly. I mean, Broly is very good. Like, obviously, I said in the breakdown video, very often we get new units and people will just be like, oh, this is the new best unit in the game. But, like, this is one of those units where legitimately, like, his passive popped up on the screen during that stream. I started to read it and then I was like, oh my God, like, is he just actually the new best unit in the game? Like, because he just seems that good just from actually reading his passive. So I'm definitely very excited. Broly is looking very, very good. But Gohan is as well, right? They're both super good. Zero Mortal Plan, want to pull them first to see how they play in game. But, oh, I forgot, no stones. It must be a global player, right? With all these banners back to back to back, it's definitely been hard out here in these streets for global players with everything that's been coming out in the last few weeks. So many banners like in a row. It's just been a little bit crazy. So I feel you, global players. I mean, I'm in the same boat, right? Like, I make money from my channel. I make money from Dokkan, and even I am at the point where, like, until I get paid at the end of the month, I am not really able to pick up any more stones, because it has just been absolutely crazy out here lately with all the banners that we've had to summon on. So I definitely appreciate that a lot of people are in a situation where it's going to be very difficult for them to summon on these part 2 banners. So you have Bao. I don't think either are number 1, but they're really well designed. Gohan is obviously designed to be run with the trio, and he will cook really hard in slot 2 for that team. Absolutely. BROLY is exactly what his team needed. Not another damage dealer or slot 1 tank, but a god utility unit. And that's the thing, is he will still deal a lot of damage as well, and is relatively good defensively. He won't be as good as, like, you know, he's not a slot 1 tank, but he'll still be a unit that can be very good defensively, still do very good damage, but that's not like his only role for the team. So he definitely is, with his design, not only is he a very good unit, but absolutely a good way to put it is that he is exactly what his team needed, right? So definitely very, very impressed with his design. Lone Wolf, I think Amatsu still can't cook. Having both banner units be super class. The banner unit should help the Dokkan Fest exclusive. Did the same with Goku Black with that Trunks. I swear Dokkan sucks. I mean, it does happen a lot sometimes with these side banner units not necessarily being exactly what the Dokkan Fest exclusive needs. But I feel like, I guess it's hard to defend that as a position, because not everyone's going to have had crazy luck summoning or been able to do loads of summons. But I suppose the thing is, if you have, like, all the units, right? If you have the optimal movie boss setup, that team, I guess, doesn't really need a banner unit to then add to the, like, power of what it's already doing. But obviously, again, I realize that's not really a great defense, because not everyone is going to have all of these units and all of these guys to run. So I suppose it is a valid point. It's always better. I always prefer it when the banner unit is directly helping out the main unit, because that should be the whole point, right? Like, if it was another, I guess, who do you do from movie 10 though? That's the problem. Like, it is literally just the movie is Broly versus everyone. So you can't even really, like, who would the banner unit be? Like, there's no one else for it to be from that movie other than one of the superclass characters, I guess. But someone did actually say in the stream yesterday, while we were waiting for the details, Bio Broly could have been the banner unit, since they're obviously not going to do like a third set of banners with a summonable Bio Broly. So he could have just been the banner unit, which I guess would make some kind of sense, right? Because then at least he would be represented in the celebration. Not that we necessarily care about Bio Broly representation, but yeah, it is a valid point about the banner unit. Mo, I'll say Broly may be better, but it's very hard to say, since one has a domain that's easy to get turn 1. Buffs great to insane uncontrollable power characters, provides support, plus insane damage output, and has a revive. Gohan is similar to that, but has a crazy standby. I mean, they're both doing a lot, but they're not doing the same things. And in a way, that is good, right? Like, both the units are really, really good, but they're not just the same unit, like, twice, which has happened in the past, right? Where we get dual Dokkan Fest. Well, obviously, this is Dokkan X Carnival, but dual headlining units released that are just very, very similar with some minor tweaks. So it's interesting that they both have very good designs and are very different as well. So people will like Gohan more, but in Broly single-handedly makes a full Broly team go from can die because of slot 2 to 3 units to can't die ever because the boss is dead from the slot 2 supers. And then, yeah, exactly, with the revival as well. Like, the Broly team is going to be, someone said in the stream earlier today, it's like the new Broly team is basically the I kill you before you can kill me, like, setup. So definitely going to be very, very fun using this team, like, at its full power. I'm very much hoping that my summons go well, because part 1 was okay for me, not the craziest, but we did manage to get a copy of both the units. So once I get a copy of both, I'll be happy. So neither seem to be number 1. In my opinion, Gohan is very skippable. He's very good, but not as badly needed as legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Broly also just flat out seems like the better unit. Int Fat Buu and EZA Buhan are back, especially post-revival when Broly turns into a support. Int Buu also has revive. I mean, I guess there are some teams where you probably can run them together, but that's an interesting to mention those units specifically. Gohan's very skippable. That's kind of crazy. I mean, he is, I guess, like, not a unit that you necessarily must have, but, like, he is very, very good. I don't know about calling him very skippable, but I suppose it depends. Like, the team builds, the trio team is already crazy enough. Like, you don't need him, I suppose, on the trio team would be one way to say, I guess, that he's skippable. But yeah, Broly definitely, like, elevates that movie boss team. that's already gotten a bunch of buffs during the celebration, but elevates that team to an insane level with his addition to the team and everything that he does. So in terms of value for team building, like Broly is, I guess, definitely more valuable if you are running that setup. So I guess I can see that, but calling Gohan skippable seems kind of wild. Broly top 5, maybe like 4-ish. Gohan maybe top 15. What? I mean, we've had a bit of back and forth here in the comments of some people who think Broly's better, some people saying that Gohan's better, but saying that there's that kind of difference, that Broly is like top 5 and Gohan's not even top 10, that seems kind of wild to me. They're definitely not that different in terms of like, in terms of which one's better than the other or which one's the best. Like, they're definitely not that many places apart from each other on like a tier list, I wouldn't think. But again, we need to see them in game to be sure, I suppose. But yeah, that seems kind of wild to me. Joe, I think Gohan is better. Neither are number 1. Both look pretty good. I still think the trio is number 1, but that can change once I see their performance in game. I don't think Gohan is contending for the number 1 spot, but Broly might be able to. That was my thought when we first saw the details. But again, when we saw the trio details, a lot of people underestimated them. And then when we saw the insane amount of stuff that they were doing in game, especially with what they were providing to the other units on their team, I feel like the opinions about them changed quite a lot, so we will see. Neither of them are number 1. Beast still holds that. I mean, I put Beast at my number 1 in my most recent tier list, mainly because of the target ability, but I feel like the more I use the trio team, the more I could be convinced that actually they should be number 1. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how these guys stack up once we do actually get to use them, but obviously we'll have to wait and see for that. I think I still like the trio as number 1, but Broly seems ridiculous. Turn 1 active domain, revive. His team can look pretty good. Gohan also looks crazy. He'll rock especially well on the trio team. Need to see them in game, but both are better than Beast, but not as good as the trio. That's interesting. Bob, I don't like domains and standbys at all, but at least they made them easy to use. Interesting. Broly is very good with his support and stats, but the leader skill is pretty bad. I think his leader skill is pretty good. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to use just movie bosses or lots of Brolys. Yeah, no additionals in his kit is one thing that I saw a lot of people talking about, because he is a Broly character. We're often used to these guys having built-in additionals. He doesn't have any kind of additional super in his passive, which is sort of odd, because the more attacks he does, obviously, the crazier he's going to be. But he doesn't have any additionals in his passive at all. Flex Media, Gohan is going to be mad slept on, I fear. They both seem ridiculous. I mean, yeah, they both do seem ridiculously good. Diggly Wiggly. Broly looks great. Kind of disappointed with Gohan. I'm going to wait and see what they look like in-game. I think I still like Beast and Super Saiyan Trio over them since they're doing so much for their teams. Yeah, very true. Still super duper releases and for sure top 5. Yeah, I would probably agree. I mean, the top 5 is probably literally going to be Beast and the 4 worldwide celebration units. And then it'll just be kind of down to what order people personally decide to put them in, but I feel like that is going to end up being the new top 5 once these guys are actually in game and we do get to see more of what they can do. So very much looking forward to it. Broly is exactly what extreme teams needed. His entrance effect makes the team much tankier earlier on. Once he revives, his full support is nuts. Gohan is going to hit like a truck going downhill with no brakes. That's great. I like to say units hit like a truck a lot, so I like that, going downhill with no brakes. Shout out to Elon Musk is a baby. Sly, Broly's team is just going to blitz every event in the game within 3 turns. He is indefinitely the best the more I think about it. Gohan definitely ties because of what he can do by himself plus his leader skill. I mean, Broly's team is going to absolutely rinse through like content. I think people are maybe underestimating the sheer amount of damage. Like, this is one of those teams for, if you're somebody who was a fan of like STR Cooler back in the Cooler Worldwide Celebration, you're a fan of these units that can just go nuts and do ridiculous damage. Like, this team is absolutely going to be able to blitz events, which will be definitely very, very fun. Kelvin, no stones, not dumping money for their incompetence to spread units out through the first half of the year, so don't care. I mean, this is, whilst this might seem like a funny response to put on this, because it's kind of got nothing to do with the subject, it's just like, I'm mad about how they've done the sync, so I don't care. But it's still a very legitimate, like, this is a very legitimate complaint from, like, global players. With the way that they handled the sync, they could have very easily spread out units in the first part of the year a little bit better, rather than waiting until right at the very end and then dumping all of this stuff all at the same time. Like, I do definitely agree that it has not been handled as well as it could. So it's kind of understandable, even though it's not a comment that's necessarily useful for this thread or this video, but I definitely understand the sentiment. Villains Forever, we are back. It's always good when Extreme finally gets those buffs. Tech Broly is number 1. Interesting. I mean, I've seen a lot of people arguing over Beast or Trio. I haven't seen many people saying Tech Broly. I thought on release, maybe Tech Broly was the best, but the more I use the Trio and just the crazy amount that they do for their team, it's hard not to have them as the best, I think. But obviously, all the worldwide units so far have been very, very good. That's the one thing, like, we've complained a bit about the content and how the content's been spread out, but in terms of the actual new summonable units, the worldwide has been all W's, right? So, very, very good. Broly is ridiculous. I like the moving parts of his kit. He's exactly what his surrounding teams needed. Gohan looks really good, but in my opinion, it's just another busted superclass character. I mean, he definitely is. And then Zing, Gohan seems glass cannony. He has to build up to be anywhere near solid. Defensively, he's getting destroyed turn 1. Plus 1.5 million defense with guard is not good. What? Let's stop pretending like he's always going to get 500,000 additional supers. And the Super Saiyan 3 trio support is going to be active turn. What is... Huh? Gohan, definitely not a glass cannon. Also, 1.5 million defense with guard is not good. I'm sorry, what? I guess this is coming from one of those people that wants the game to be like baby's first adventure game, where the game just handholds you and every single unit in the game tanks every single big boss super attack for double digits, whilst also doing like 10 million, or sorry, no, that's probably not high enough anymore, 30 million attack stats. Yeah, 1.5 million defense with guard is good. It means you tank all normal attacks in the game and will survive some super attacks. Now, that's obviously, we're just using the word good. We're not saying great, top tier, best, anything like that. But 1.5 million defense with guard is perfectly good for most events in most situations. And then guard on top of that as well means it's even better. This comment is wild. So we'll stop there on that crazy one. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, if you didn't get into the video or you didn't see the tweet until after I'd recorded potentially, then do let me know all your thoughts on the new units down below in the comment section. Obviously, once we get more details about when exactly the banner drops and all that other stuff, I will let you guys know. And of course, we will be very much looking forward to trying these guys out in game and seeing how they actually stack up. So let me know all of your thoughts about Broly and Gohan down below in the comments. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.